Hey guys, this is Alex, and I'm with Gamers for Change, a movement created to decrease the amount of hostility within the gaming community. And I know that I've been gone for a while, and this is just because of there's a lot of stuff in my life lately. Midterms cropped up about a week ago, so I've been busy with that, and I actually have 2 more midterms next week, and I recently got the stomach flu like 2 or 3 days ago. So I'm just recovering. I've been recovering from that, and I'm almost fully recovered. So now I can get back into the groove of things and start going to class and doing commentaries for you guys again. So today I will be presenting the first installment of the Thought Talk program I announced 2 or 3 weeks ago. And before I go into the topic for this video, I'm just going to give you guys a brief summary of how this is all going to go down, because that video came out a while ago and some of you probably need a refresher as to what the rules of this entire thing are. So what you do is you watch the video, you listen to the opinions presented in it, and afterward you comment on the video with your take on the issue, or you make a video response with your take on this issue. And after 3 days, we will go over all of these comments and video responses, and we will choose the one that we like the best. And again, we're not looking for people to just agree with us. We just want you to present your opinions and to support them. And we don't really care about spelling or grammar either. We just want you to be understandable. So we will then award the creator of this comment or video response with a spot on the next Thought Talk. And if you want to respond to the video but you don't want to, or are unable to do a Thought Talk with us, just add an asterisk to the end of your comment or to the end of your video responses video title. And in order to do a Thought Talk with us, you need to have Skype and a decent microphone that you can hook up with your computer. A link to download Skype is in the video description below, and you should be able to find a decent microphone for like $20 to $30 at your local Best Buy or local electronics store. Finally, to keep us from going over responses for an eternity, please keep your video responses under, let's say, 3 minutes in length, and your comment responses under 4 comments in length total. Comment responses are preferred because we find reading comments to be a lot more efficient than watching videos. And if you can, please thumbs up responses you find to be really good in the comment section so they can be catapulted to the top. So I think that's all, so I'm just going to move on to discussing the topic right now, which is Halo Reach. It seems that everywhere I go, there are tons of people complaining about how absolutely terrible it is. And even though I definitely believe that Reach has a fair share of problems, I've also been kind of fed up with how much Reach hate there is nowadays. So, like, it's literally everywhere I go. So the topic for today, like the title says, is how would you fix Reach? And for all of you who have any criticisms of Reach, consider this your outlet to vent all of the problems you have with this game. Also, I know that a lot of what I'm going to say was already covered in my Reach review with Rajan, but the main reason I'm doing this is to provide just one place for people to focus all of their hatred for Reach, and I'm going to try to make up for this repetition by going over the topics in more detail than I did with Rajan. So, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is the Bloom. Similar to Bloom, this appears to be hated everywhere I go. MLG forums, here on YouTube, Bungie.net forums, you name it. Personally, I thought it was a completely unnecessary addition to the game, and it's one of the things that make Reach feel like it isn't really a Halo game to me. I wouldn't say it makes it feel like a COD game, like a lot of people say it does, but it does make the game seem foreign to me. So what I think Bungie was trying to do with the Bloom was to introduce a new dimension to shooting, just making it more three-dimensional and skill-intensive, because they force you to time your shots along with aiming them. And to their credit, they did succeed to some extent. Long-range shooting is definitely more skill-intensive now, and it's made even better by Bungie's bringing back of the hit scan. And I actually loved the Bloom during the beta because of this, but as time went on, the magic of the Bloom kind of wore off for me, because like I said in my Reach review with Rajan a while back, for short to mid-range combat, you're going to want to spam sometimes, because it is often more effective than pacing is for short to mid-range combat. And this really isn't just opinion, this is fact. If you watch any MLG Pro, Halo Reach gameplay anywhere, you will see that they spam quite a lot. And this is not because they're bad or because they're making mistakes, but because they realize that it kills faster than pacing in many scenarios. Halo's an FPS, so to me, having something as integral as shooting being determined by just dumb luck is simply ridiculous. What I think Bungie needs to do with the bloom is either completely remove it, which is my recommended course of action, or alter it so that it can be controlled more by the player. And they could do this by making the size of the bloom bigger to punish spammers, but they should decrease the reset time so killing someone doesn't take eons to do, and this gives spammers less time to beat more skilled players who pace with dumb luck. The second thing that comes to mind is armor lock and armor perks in general. Armor lock definitely needs some sort of downgrade, or just needs to be just outright deleted. Again, it isn't overpowered in my opinion because it doesn't help people win, really. It just delays their death, and it's always successful. And it's just incredibly annoying because waiting sucks, and again, it never ever fails. There's literally nothing armor lock cannot stop. And I actually found the concept of armor lock to be pretty cool when I first found out about it, and I still think it's a fairly interesting concept, so I wouldn't remove it entirely. What I would do is, well, actually I have lots of ideas for the armor lock. One idea is to increase the time necessary to go into like a full armor lock, I guess, so as they're going into armor lock you can still kill them, or you can make it impossible for them to regenerate their shields while they're in the lock, or you can make armor lock not a complete lock but merely a shield that absorbs some percentage of the damage that they would take when they're within the armor lock. And as for the rest of the perks, I don't really have a problem with the others except for mainly camo and some bubble shield. Camo I think is way too helpful for campers and short range weapon whores, who are two of the most annoying players in Halo, types of players in Halo for me. And bubble shield has the same flaw, but it's the shields can be destroyed with a certain amount of damage, so it's not really that bad in my opinion. Moving on to the next issue, we have the decreased mobility. Similar to the bloom, I feel that this was kind of an unnecessary and just in the end useless change to the series. I don't really understand Bungie's thought process behind this that much, because it alters the core of the game, and as a result it messes with the power level of many elements within the game, mainly grenades. Grenades in this game are now overpowered in my opinion, because it's pretty hard to get away from them, and overpowered grenades is one of the worst things you can have for Halo, because they're one of the easier ways to kill people. And in addition to overpowered grenades, the decreased mobility naturally slows down a game that didn't need any slowing down to begin with. And slow games are just, the slower the game is, the more boring it is. The only possible explanation I can come up with for why Bungie did this was to provide an incentive to use the sprint, but this doesn't really make that much sense, because sprint still would have been good with normal speed, because it's still great for rushing power weapons and for effectively running away from battle situations that went downhill for you. Lastly, we have the beatdown system. The power level of the melee definitely needs to be reduced, and no bleed through has to go. A melee shouldn't be able to take down an entire person's shields, because similar to grenades, they're not that hard to pull off, as it's just the pressing of one button. And combined with the sprint, this heavily encourages beatdown horroring, otherwise known as herpa-derping. No bleed through is an interesting mechanic that Bungie implemented, which I think was included to prevent cheap kills just involving like a close range weapon and a beatdown, but similar to the bloom, it ended up backfiring by punishing players who shouldn't be punished. Let's say you're DMRing a guy and you're pacing your shots fairly nicely. You get him down to low shields, but then he herpa-derps over to you, he melees you, and then he takes you down to no shields. You could melee him back in response, but then you would just get him to no shields, and he would probably melee in response to your melee, and you would just be dead. So while you took the time to skillfully place multiple accurate shots to take down most of your enemy's shields, all your enemy had to do is run over to you and just melee you once to equalize the playing field, and maybe he even gained the upper hand. So simply put, this is unfair, and if Bungie won't power down the melee, they should at least remove no bleed throughs. So herper derpers will usually just end up taking down your shields and dying instead of actually winning a decent amount of the time. So this is how I would fix reach. To quickly recap everything, the 4 things that I would do to fix reach would be to, number 1, remove the bloom or make it more controllable so that skill-intensive players can manipulate it more easily. Number 2, mess with the armor perks by powering down camo and the armor lock and maybe bubble shield. Number 3, restoring mobility. Number 4, changing the melee system by powering down the melee and removing no bleed through. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and get to commenting with how you would fix reach. And if you have absolutely no problems with this game, then feel free to say that as well. Peace.